Hello and welcome to the Real Horror Show podcast. I'm your host, Samantha, joined as always by the Stormy Skies.
Yellow listeners.
I have a headache, FYI. I didn't say that off mic, but that's why I'm a little low energy.
Okay.
I woke up with like the right side of my head throbbing.
Oh, geez.
Which might explain the weird dreams I had before waking up. I dreamt that
Did you possibly dream that you saw yourself dead?
No, I dreamt that I had rabies and it was too late to get shots to not die of rabies.
Oh my god.
But for sure, if I had dreamt that I saw myself dead, that would leave me quite perturbed.
That would make you be very scared and you would just cry and think something is wrong with you and seek out a medium.
Yeah. And that's essentially the plot of the movie review we are reviewing today, Lake Mungo, which is a 2008 Australian psychological horror film written and directed by Joel Anderson, starring Zalia Tucker and Martin Sharp. It employs mockumentary-style storytelling with found footage and docu-fiction elements using actor interviewees to present the narrative of a young family trying to come to terms with the drowning of their daughter and the potentially supernatural effects they experience after it.
Dang.
So this movie is very popular on Horrortok, which is where it first entered my knowledge base. They hype it up as one of the best like mockumentary style horror films around.
I think it's great.
Did you ever see the Poughkeepsie tapes?
No, that's on my list too, man. That's pretty good too, probably.
My major issue with the Poughkeepsie tapes, which is another mockumentary style horror movie, is the intentionally low film quality that happens whenever something scary is going on the camera. Very frustrating, and we don't have that issue with Lake Mungo. So I would put it above Poughkeepsie tapes just for that. But Poughkeepsie tapes is pretty scary. I like it a lot. I think this one did it better.
That's what I was gonna say. I would agree. I'm sure the Poughkeepsie tapes, I've heard that that's very scary, but this one, like, Luke was in the room with me and he was like kind of like half watching it and he was like, is this based on like a true story? But because that's how good good quality it was. I was like, dang, like they're like really doing well. Like it almost seems like it's a really, really good documentary.
No, those were my thoughts exactly. If I just watched this on TV, I would think it was a real phenomenon.
I know.
But no, this movie deserves the hype it gets. I wasn't sure going in because the way people talk about it, they talk about the ending being jaw-dropping. So I was expecting a big, shocking scare, but that's not what we got. I would classify this as existential horror versus boo-ah horror.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say it's like that's psychological because like we're actually like we're talked through the whole movie, so I'm like never confused. I'm like, oh, okay, I see. Yeah. But like, yeah, you know what I mean? We'll have to talk about that though.
When we get to story, we'll analyze why it's more of an existential dread kind of horror. Than psychological boo-ah. So yeah.
That does not really happen.
Yeah, there's no jump scares to startle you.
Yeah, I thought there might be at a couple points and there wasn't. I was like, okay. Okay.
Breaking it down into acting, this movie would fail without the actors. They were all phenomenal. They felt like real people talking and not actors reading from a script.
Yeah, they did. They did well.
Which is so important for this mockumentary style of storytelling.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just like the interview style and like the talking with when two different people are talking, especially, I feel like when how they're interacting and how they're like waiting for the other to finish or like maybe talking over the other a little bit, but it seems so natural.
Did an amazing job. I was worried I wouldn't be able to take it seriously because of Australia, and we love to make fun of Australian accents.
I know.
But no,
they were fine. Yeah.
They were so good.
It was good.
Yeah, this movie would have failed if they didn't have such good talent behind the characters.
Yeah, I agree.
And speaking of the characters, we have June Palmer, Russell Palmer, Matthew Palmer, Matthew with one T, by the way.
Yes, one T. I'm surprised.
And Alice Palmer, who is the daughter that drowned in Lake Mungo, tragically.
Did she drown in Lake Mungo or did she go to, that's what I was confused about that I wanted to ask you is like,
Yes.
was it at Lake Mungo or was it at the dam?
I'm pretty sure she drowned in Lake Mungo.
Because so it was the same lake that she was at at the school with
I
her
think
school
so.
friends with the videos and where she buried her phone.
I think so.
So the family drove all the way back out to Lake
check.
Mungo. Yeah, I don't think it was actually, that's why I was like confused.
She drowns while swimming with her family in a dam
At the
at
dam.
Ararat, Australia.
That's pretty dangerous. but
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I was like, why is it called Lake Mungo? She doesn't even drown there. It's just like she's there.
Yeah.
And there's no lake when she's there. It's like the dirt ground. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, that's just
one. So Lake Mungo is where the motions are set into place. We later find out that is in the plot.
That's the big scare.
Who else is there? I would say the next big character would be Ray Kimney, who's the psychic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Parapsychologist, as they call him, but a fucking psychic.
Yeah, like a radio psych.
And then we learn about
there's like the church people too.
There's the church people and then the neighbors.
Yeah, and then like some friends
play a big role.
Yeah, the fuck was that?
Yeah.
We'll get there. Anyway.
But yeah, so the characters were believable. One thing that annoys me about a lot of horror movies, especially in the early 2000s, like this one is, they try to force you to care about the relationship between characters by adding like inconsequential, he was gonna propose, or you're my twin sister and we've never had a great relationship, but I'm gonna save you anyway. House of Wax.
Yeah, House of Wax, exactly.
But no, watching the way they did the family home videos and the way the parents and the brother talk about the sister post-death felt very real. It felt very authentic.
It did.
Like we were watching real family dynamics play out on the screen. That was phenomenal. They did a great job.
Yeah, I agree. It was good.
And they did a great job casting the family. Like the kids looked like their parents.
I know. I was like, what? That was really good.
So it's shocking to see that none of them are related.
I know.
Wikipedia. So a lot of thought and care went into the casting of this to make it feel like a real family, make it into a real documentary, even though it's not.
Yeah, but it really paid off because it really makes you think that it possibly could be. Like you said, Sam, like if it just was on the TV and you didn't know it was a movie, I'd be like, oh, it's like a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
All right, so let's break down the plot.
All right.
So the story starts with 16-year-old Alice Palmer drowning while she and her family are swimming at a dam in Ararat, Australia.
Why are you swimming at the dam?
That might just be a safe place to swim, and everything in Australia is trying to kill you.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's true, and maybe like the dam, like that's just a normal place to swim, like the lake.
Yeah, I mean, don't people swim near the Hoover Dam? Can't you swim in that lake?
You know what? I think you can. Yeah, I think that you can kayak and swim around and stuff like that. So probably there's spots that's for recreation.
Yeah. Like I would prefer to swim in a safe lake than the ocean in Australia because there are these things called stonefish that look like rocks. And if you step on them, they shoot poisonous needles into your foot.
Right. And then there's the jellyfish.
Yeah.
And the rattlesnake and the scorpion. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's trying to kill you in Australia. So you find dangerous. Safe places to exist.
Right. Yes. It's quite dangerous. So yeah, that's the stonefish. Yeah, dude.
So terrified. After she dies and after her body is identified, and I was not expecting to see a corpse in a mockumentary. That was shocking.
It was.
They set up video cameras, or it's more like they start hearing sounds in the house, and the brother decided to do a photography project at one point where he's just taking pictures of his backyard each month, same day, same time. That's cool. And he happens to capture image of Alice in one of these pictures, like a ghost. And after this, they decide to set up more cameras. Yeah. And the father even recalls a story of he felt something in Alice's room. So he went and sat in there for a while and saw her come into the room.
Yeah.
And she didn't notice him. And when she did, she yelled at him, berated him.
Yeah.
So they believe that she's haunting the house, or she's not even dead. That he looked at the wrong body. He was determined that he already had it in his head that it was going to be Alice no matter what.
Right.
So they set up cameras to get enough evidence to show that there's a reason to exhume her body from the graveyard.
Yeah, and get like the DNA test and stuff.
And there were also sightings of her at the dam by random tourists, not just the family.
Yeah.
So they do that, but the DNA test confirms that it was Alice. And
damn it.
Soon enough, Matthew, her brother, confesses that he faked the sightings. That
surprised me. I was like, what the fuck, man?
That they were hoaxes, and it was confirmed when another couple who had been at the lake the first time, the dam the first time, Alice was spotted on camera, that it was just him wearing her hoodie.
Yeah, what the heck? Freak.
However, despite the hoax videos,
that's twist number one.
That was twist number one. Twist number two is one of the cameras captures the Palmer's neighbor, Ratatouille.
It's creeping around inside the house.
Yes, he's creeping around inside the house, and the family is like, hey, the fuck's going on?
Like,
so they search, they look in Alice's room to see if they can find what he was trying to find, and they find pretty damning evidence that the neighbors may have had something to do with her drowning, because they made a sex tape of them having a threesome with her.
And this is the adult parents that live next door, not like their kids.
Yeah.
Like two grown-ass people with their own kids.
Yeah. Having sex with a 16-year-old. Which, granted, I don't know the age of consent off the top of my head in Australia, but that's still fucking creepy, regardless.
Yeah, she was 16 and
he was their babysitter. So there's a power dynamic issue.
Yes. Oh, yes. And then they moved away, what they say, like 6 or 9 months after she died or something?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Because they were afraid that tape would come to light after her death, which everything about that is suspicious. If you didn't have anything to do with her death, why are you moving away?
Exactly.
So quickly after she dies?
Yes.
That doesn't help your case.
No, not at all. Dang. That like really came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The tape scene.
So they've hired this parapsychologist psychic to come and sit in the house because they're not fully convinced that it was all just the son committing a hoax. Yeah. Or I guess it was kind of happening in the background. There was a lot going on in a documentary, much like there's a lot going on in life. It's not just one sequential thing after another.
Yeah.
So they'd been working with this psychologist named Ray, who they later find out was meeting with Alice prior to her death to analyze her dreams that she had been having about dying.
Yeah.
She had specifically about drowning, being dead, and her mother being unable to see or help her.
Dang.
So the parents decide to stop working with the psychologist, since that's such a huge thing to keep a secret from them.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty big thing. I was like surprised that he knew her already. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
That was a good twist. There's so many good twists in this, just like a good documentary.
Yes, there are, because it's a small world, and people do make these connections, and it's not a coincidence. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So eventually Alice's boyfriend comes forward with mobile phone footage from a school trip to Lake Mungo, where Alice is burying something at the base of a tree. So the Palmers travel to Lake Mungo to see what she buried up there. And they find her phone, her favorite necklace, and a bunch of other personal belongings that meant a lot to her buried under that tree. Mm-hmm. So they go home, charge up her phone, and see a video she took walking at night until she runs into a doppelganger that is a doppelganger of her corpse.
Yes, her drowned body. Mm-hmm. That scared her.
So that's what scared her into burying the phone under the base of the tree. We never get a clear idea of why she did that, whether it was to tell her parents what she saw after she died, if she had accepted it at that point.
Right.
Or I don't know. We never really get that answer.
Yeah, the mom was like, it's like some sort of a ritual that she, and I was like, I don't understand though. So you're right, like it really wasn't clear at all.
So the movie ends with the Palmers moving out of their house, feeling like all Alice wanted them to know was what was happening in her life that they didn't see, that they didn't know about, that she was keeping from them.
Right.
They think if there was a haunting, it's ended and her ghost has moved on. And the film ends with the family photo of them. And in the background, you can see that Alice's ghost is still in the doorway. And during the credits, which I thought was really cool, and after the credits, I went back to a couple of scenes to see if her ghost was actually in those pictures.
Yeah.
But the pictures they show during the credits of the mockumentary are the doctored photos or just inconsequential moments that they showed throughout the documentary where Alice's ghost was actually in the corner of those photos, but like a magician's sleight of hand, you didn't notice her because your attention was being drawn someplace else. And I thought that was really cool.
That was cool. And at the end, whenever they are moving away, we do have the scene of like the flashback of Alice having that like session where she's walking into her house and her mother can't see her. And then at the very end, the final like session with Ray with the mother, she's walking into the room and she's in Alice's room and she's like, I don't see anything. Alice isn't here. So it's kind of like Alice was seeing the future. And it was kind of sad because it's almost like they left her behind because they couldn't see her ghost. You know what I mean? So that is actually like a very like bittersweet ending.
Yeah. And I think that's what solidifies the existential dread of this is she was there, but she was trapped as a ghost watching her family try to understand her, which was something they didn't even really do in real life. And the mom admits throughout the documentary that as Alice got older, she felt like they had grown apart and she couldn't open up to her daughter as much as she would have wanted to. And the fact that, and the parents are dealing with this horrible inward terror that their daughter was having a sexual encounter with their neighbor and his wife. She was, whether or not she consented, she was still being taken advantage of. And that was something she didn't tell anyone, not even her boyfriend. He said he didn't know about it. They wouldn't have been together.
I know, like she totally had a boyfriend like that whole time too. Like, dang.
So they feel like they didn't know their daughter. And, but in a way, going through this haunting and being pulled in directions helped them get to know her better post death. But had her brother not like done the hoax, would they have ever started going down this path of trying to figure out who she was, or would they have just continued living with that image of her that they already had?
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe not. No. Yeah, maybe they wouldn't have taken the time.
So
because there'd be nothing to solve at that point, you know, there'd be nothing to, it's like, oh, she just drowned.
But now they know that maybe there was foul play afoot. Maybe there was something supernatural happening, because they can't deny that the figure they see in that video is the same thing that the father saw when he looked at her corpse to identify her. Yes, absolutely. And that this thing she saw scared her enough to start dreaming about her own death, to seek out help. And perhaps if she felt like she could talk to her family about it, maybe she would still be here.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Maybe they wouldn't have gone to the lake or the dam or whatever.
The dam lake. If you will.
Yeah, the dam lake. But yeah, and that's how it ends. And they just kind of drive off. And but it is bittersweet. It is very bittersweet because they're leaving her behind, as we can tell. She's still standing in the doorway. I know, wanting them to see her. Like it all feels like it's trying to
get you to think about being a teenage girl and having all these feelings and shit and just wanting your family to see you for who you are.
Right.
But they don't.
They don't. Yeah. They just like just do their own thing. And you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like I wish they would understand me.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I it's a beautiful movie.
It is in that respect.
It's a nice slow burn chiller with some really great twists here and there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just fucking love the credits revealing that Alice was in those photos. She was in those videos, just not where we were looking.
Right.
And that's so crazy.
It is.
It's so well done.
I know.
I guess let's go ahead and talk about production, because the production was very well done. I don't know much about this writer director. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page for me to browse, but it felt like he's had experience doing documentaries before.
That's what it seems like, because if you and I like really were convinced that this was like the real thing, then that says something, you know. It's really well done.
So just reading the history of making this movie on Wikipedia.
Okay.
He decided to write it as a documentary style story so he could film it on a lower budget. Okay. He had originally written the bulk of the film in 2005, but he couldn't find funding for what he had written. So I'm guessing originally he probably had a more traditional supernatural horror movie in mind, which I'm glad this wasn't that. I'm not the biggest fan of supernatural horror, especially when it's on a lower budget. It ends up being very cheesy.
Yeah.
And Joel Anderson has said, I don't think this is a supernatural thriller. I think it's meant to be an exploration of grief. Technology is used to record people's lives and sort of tracks memories, and how technology mediates a lot of our experiences.
Right.
And I agree. I think this movie isn't a traditional horror movie. It's an exploration of grief. And to reference myself so humbly, one of my first 10-minute plays, I wrote ghosts are, or maybe I wrote it in Let's Hope You Feel Better. I don't know. I've written something to the extent of ghosts help us with grief to believe that something is there after we die.
Right. Yes.
And I think this movie captures that idea that humans create ghosts because we don't want to accept that there might not be anything after we die. And it's the same thing with like heaven and the afterlife.
Right.
Is we want this to believe that they're still out there in some capacity. And you really felt that with the mother of Alice being the first to kind of sense her there.
Yeah.
Through hearing footsteps and noises in the house and not being able to be in the house.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree too. And like, I just want to say that I was going into this thinking it was going to be like a scary horror movie. And so like watching it, I was like, why isn't it scary? You know what I mean? So like, it's not going to be frightening or scary. There's no jump scares. Like there will be moments that are unsettling, but if I would have known, like I don't read about it before I watch it, just like, so I don't like spoil it for myself, but it is exactly that. It's just an exploration of grief. It is a horror movie because it's horrifying to lose a child. And this is like a really well done documentary with like dark aspects to it, but it's not like it's not a gory horror, like slasher movie. You know what I mean? It's not quite like that. And that's kind of what I expected going in. But whenever you think about it and talk it through, it's so well done for what this guy wanted it to be, that it is exactly that. So I think it's really, really well done in that aspect.
Yeah. And apparently there was no written dialogue for the script. It was only an outline of the story. So the actors were
Oh,
expected to improvise. So maybe
that's
that's why it doesn't
impressive.
sound like actors reading off of a script.
Yeah, but even sometimes when you have like you're given the improv, it can be even more challenging. So I think that is really impressive.
I would say that puts this on the same level as Blair Witch
Wow.
Project, since Blair Witch Project
Ooh,
also didn't have
yeah.
a script in the traditional sense. They had an outline of what needs to happen each day.
Yes.
And in fact, barely even that. I think with Blair Witch
Yeah.
Project, the directors left a note for the actors in the
Yeah.
morning telling them, hey, here's the gist of what you guys should do today.
Yeah.
And then they came up with ways away from the actors to try and scare them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
That's
really
very
impressive.
cool.
The director
It is.
um, can be heard off screen. He didn't credit himself, but he's heard off screen as the interviewer in the
Really?
documentary. So that's kind of how he guided them
Oh,
through
cool.
telling the story.
Nice.
So it's such a cool concept. I love
It
it.
is. It is. It is. It is. I really thought that Lake Mungo was about like I was confusing it with Lake Placid,
Yeah, I was about
which
to
is
say
which is about like a giant alligator
alligator.
crocodile or something like that. And I was like, oh, this is not about that at all.
Yeah.
Lake Mungo. But yeah, it is I think it's really worth it. I I watched it when I was very tired though, but like it was still like very engaging because I wasn't
Mhm.
sure what the next twist was going to be because it does keep your attention with these little twists
It
that
does. I
add
wasn't
layers.
expecting it to be
Yeah.
revealed that she was a babysitter who was engaging
Yeah.
in a sexual relationship with her neighbors.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Of
they do
course.
go into a bit of like a true crime angle with that, saying we investigated this as a potential murder, but then we hit a
Yeah.
wall
Yeah,
and
because they just
had to
left.
drop the case because we don't have enough evidence to the contrary.
Right. And they couldn't like say it was like rape or not because they couldn't know if it was like consensual or not
Mm-hmm.
because of like the content of the video and stuff like that. So it's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just so much. So many unknowns,
Yeah.
but that is life. And that is how
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
presented it to us.
I think this movie does a really good job at
Mm,
presenting that aspect of life when you lose a loved one,
right.
and especially in an unexpected tragic way like this, and suddenly you're
Yeah.
learning things about them that you never knew.
Yes. Yeah, because now you devote all your attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it goes to show like if you would have devoted any more attention, would you have known these things or
Yeah.
would they have been really trying to keep that secret since they were alive? So you can't know. And this movie isn't going to answer all your questions because all your questions in life are not answered in the wake
Mm-hmm.
of a tragedy. So it's really realistic in that way.
Yeah, and that's such a good point about how you learn these things because you're paying more attention to them. All your
Yeah.
attention is focused on them
Yeah.
after they're dead.
Oh, yeah.
So had they paid even like a fraction more attention to what was going on with Alice, would they have noticed
Yeah.
something
Something
weird
was
going on with
wrong.
her job?
Yeah, like or something was off or like is
Mm-hmm.
she like something changed with
Yeah.
her or like whatever. Yeah, or would she have played it off, kept it a secret?
Yeah.
They do like the friend does like this is one thing I didn't like is the friend was like, oh yeah, like Alice, like she like had secrets and like I think it was so crazy that she like had secrets. I'm like, dude, like everybody has secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Like chill.
Who doesn't have a secret?
Right. Yeah. So I thought that was a little cheesy, but like they're just trying to make a point there that she was very open. And if she had a secret, that would be something that would be like a negative thing in her life that she was trying to keep away from people. So I don't know. But other
Mm-hmm.
than that, I think that it really does have this interesting aspect of the supernatural by being able to see your own future
Mm-hmm.
with like the medium and stuff and like having that ability to like have like that ESP or whatever it is where it's like I have these feelings or I have this bad feeling that something really bad is going to happen and like I can't escape it, which is a metaphor for life. Of course everybody will die
Yeah.
eventually, and you can't stop that, but nobody wants to die too soon. I don't know. So it's just, you can go on and on, I feel like, with this movie about any type of conversation you want regarding the existentialism or whatever else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
So,
I liked it. Yeah.
I would say this is a great little underrated horror movie. I would give it an yeah, that fucked me up. Realistic aspects. Losing your child.
Oh yeah.
And
like
grief.
Drowning like very quickly, like after you get out of the water and you turn around and like the person's already like dead. And that also made me think, like, what, like, was it supernatural? Was she killed? Did she disappear? Was she just supposed to die right then and there? And like, that was her fate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that is.
Yeah, I think
that is shocking.
That's one of the things is we'll never, just like her family, we'll never know if it was just spontaneous drowning. Like she got stuck on something and her parents didn't notice.
Right.
Or if someone did kill her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we don't know. And I think that the movie is trying to say that, like, you can devote a lot of time to stuff like that, but you can't devote your whole life to try to figure out what exactly happened, because in her circumstance, you may never know. And so you could just like waste your life trying to like come up with these, you know, conspiracy theories, you know, about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so losing a loved one, losing your child, and that's apparent in the beginning, because the mom is like saying like how upset she is that her own mother is there, and she's like, it didn't feel like the right order of things, meaning that like your youngest should not be the first to die. Out of like, you know what I mean, like all the matriarchs of the family. So there's that. What else? I guess, oh my god, just like having like neighbors that you didn't know just like with your child sexually. Like, and they were like freaks, you know what I mean? Like, so that's like very freaky stuff. Like you shouldn't, like, because it was like the couple with the girl, so that is very distressing to think about. And they have children themselves. It's just really messed up. Right next door. And then they got in their house. I'm like, what is your doors unlocked? Like, how are people getting in? So it's like that too. I'd be pretty upset if like I saw on a tape that like my neighbor was in my house. I'm like, how often have they been coming to my house? How are they getting in? Having a son that is trying to cope by like making fake pictures with a dead daughter, that could be a little distressing, because we never find out why he did that, but like there probably
he alludes to why he did it, but his parents don't really believe him. He said it was, well, mom said she didn't fully believe that dad identified the right body, so I wanted to give them a reason to exhume Alice. But like, was it really?
Right. Yeah. Did it start like that, or like did that give you an excuse to keep doing more? You know what I mean?
Did you like the idea of like, because my air conditioning shut my door and it spooked me.
Oh yeah, I heard a noise.
I think the first instance was the leaked photo of Alice at the dam, like someone who looked like Alice at the dam, and that got a lot of people buzzing that maybe she's still alive, and so maybe that triggered something in him that he wanted to give his parents this hope, even though his dad looked at her with his own two eyes, like maybe I did get it wrong.
Yes.
But at that point, if she was still alive, she would have, come home.
Maybe she would have come home, or like, that's what made it kind of eerie, because you're like, if she's alive, like, why is she like being so creepy? You know what I mean? But unfortunately she did die. What else? I guess like, well, the existence of radio mediums is a thing, but we don't know if this man was legit or not really. Like these people, like they had like sessions with him where they like imagine themselves in the house and stuff like that, but I guess that's their own consciousness guiding them. I don't know if like the dude like did like a special thing where it's like, only because I'm here, like they're able to see their own future. Like, we don't know. So that's just like putting your hope in whatever you can to try to find an answer. or try to get some closure or something like that, or get someone to listen to you. And the church people like barely came into the picture, I feel like, because they tried to have like the religious aspect, but like I kind of like forgot even what any points that they made, you know what I mean? I like don't really, I don't
really
think
know. They really play a huge role in this.
No, they don't. Yeah, so that the friends, boy from being upset, yeah, I don't think anything else realistic wise. Everything else is kind of more like up to your interpretation, and it's a little bit supernatural. Yep. Swimming at the dam. Could get stuck. No, going to the lake, and the lake is just dirt.
Yeah.
Dirt videos of running around and no lake in sight. Yeah.
But I think that's all I have.
Yeah, I don't think anything else. I agree with Sam. So really go into this with an open mind, knowing that it's not going to be a frightening horror film. It's just something to make you think a little bit. And so therefore, when you're going into it with that mindset, like, oh yeah, that fucked me up too, because it's not something you should go in and be like, oh, well, that didn't like entertain me, because you'll definitely shut it down. This is like a totally different type of a vibe here. But I think it's a horror movie all the same.
It is.
So yeah, oh yeah, that fucked me up. It is not about a giant alligator, but it doesn't have to be. I'm glad it wasn't, actually, in hindsight. Yeah, so stay tuned for the next movie that we're going to watch. In the meantime, I swear I will finish the originals. I'm going to finish the originals, Sam, because I'm not going to be that person. Yeah. And so I'm going to finish it this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a good idea as we prepare to start Death Note as your first anime.
Death Note. Okay. Yeah.
Since you said you recognize the characters from your time at Hot Topic, I thought I would have you explain what you think the show is going to be about.
Okay.
Before we start it.
Oh, do you want me to explain now or next episode?
Next episode.
Okay.
So don't read any descriptions.
Okay. I won't read anything. Okay.
Based on your memories of the t-shirts at Hot Topic.
Okay, I think I can do a pretty good summary based on just the shirts and other merchandise I have seen. And then all I need to know, and I'll ask you, is where I will stream it, and then that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
But I won't start until I finish the originals, because
I believe it's available for sure on Tubi.
Yes. Okay. Wasn't this movie on Tubi?
This was on Tubi.
Nice. Tubi's great.
Yeah, which I don't know where Tubi falls with the whole writer strike. I don't think they're in the AMTP of that alphabet, but I don't know who owns them. But again, SAG-AFTRA, WGA haven't called for a strike of streaming services. So, continue seeing movies, continue streaming movies, because when this is all over, people still deserve to get their money.
Yes,
they worked hard on these movies. So, and the big thing is, we don't want theaters to go out of business.
Yeah, that's going to hurt us all. Started again. I know they're just coming around again. So please don't let it go.
Yeah,
it's important, and I think people are really excited to be going back to the movies again.
Yeah,
and doing these double features like Barbie and Oppenheimer and stuff.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's all I have. Let's get to the new and improved outro notes.
Yes, everybody, please enjoy this new and improved outro, because our outro is outdated. Am I right?
Yeah.
I wrote that probably in 2016 or something like that, or earlier, 2015 maybe. But anyway, it's been a long time. So thanks for tuning into our episode. We are the Real Horror Show podcast. Our host is Sam Odie, and I'm the co-host, Stormy Skies. The podcast was created by Sam Odie and Stormy Skies, and is directed, edited, and produced by Sam Odie. You can find Sam on Instagram at oh hi I'm Sam, one word, and you can find Stormy on Instagram at the Stormy Skies, one word. You can find the Real Horror Show podcast on Spotify, TuneIn, iTunes, Google Play Store, Pandora, and anywhere you like to stream your podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you're always in the know when a new episode comes out. Follow us on social media. You can find The Real Horror Show podcast on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. I don't know if that's going to change back to Twitter anytime soon, but we are still there. Anyway, we do more than just podcasts. We love to write and have plenty of great movie reviews and essays, all of which can be found on our website, realhorrorshow.com. We love hearing from our listeners. You can ask us a question or send us a movie request to review. You can DM us on social media, or you can even send us an email at realhorrorshowpodcast@gmail.com. Call for guests. Do you love horror movies? Are you a podcaster, a content creator, a movie lover, or anyone in between who is a listener to our show? We would love to have you as a guest on one of our episodes. Reach out to us via social media DM or email us at realhorrorshow.podcast@gmail.com. Our podcast episodes featuring guests are all listed on our website, realhorrorshow.com. We are so thankful for all of our listeners. You are the life force of our podcast, and we wouldn't really exist without you. Thank you all for making this podcast real and supporting us as we record every week. You can support us in different ways, such as liking and sharing our podcast episodes on social media. Giving us a review will help the podcast more than you know and will help other listeners find it too. You can also donate to Real Horror Show by visiting our support page on our website, where you can make a one-time donation via PayPal, buy us a coffee with the Buy Us a Coffee button, or you can explore our very interesting Amazon wish list. The Real Horror Show podcast stands behind SAG-AFTRA and WGA as they strike. If you want to support the WGA and SAG-AFTRA, then consider donating to the Entertainment Community Fund, which supports those who are out of work. You can also donate to other funds benefiting actors, writers, and crew members using the links found in the episode notes. And any other pertinent news other than I swear I'm going to finish the originals?
Not right now. Other than, well, I don't want to support Netflix, but I was going to say, when we are going to watch a new Netflix show, when the strike is over, they officially announced the sequel series to Castlevania, which is going to follow, for Castlevania fans of the games, Richter Belmont. And it's not starting with Symphony of the Night. It's starting with one of the other games. So it's going to be a longer series. Hopefully, like the other one. So that will be cool.
That'll be really cool. Speaking of games and stuff, we should talk about something off mic a little bit too.
Okay.
But okay. Anyways, other than that pertinent news, our outro song is called Creepy Doll by Jonathan Coulton. He could be found at jonathancoulton.com. Thank you, fuck off, and have a swell evening. This is Real Horror Show signing off.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And there's a creepy doll that always follows